Hi there, people. This is Spray Love, and although I'm pretty used to doing fragrance-related videos, I thought that tonight I would do a special video on something else than smell. But then it's taste. I am less connoisseur on alcohols and, like right now, precisely Scotch than I am with fragrances. And some people will actually maybe be offended. I will present you with this one. It is Macallan Gold. It's a single malt whiskey from Macallan, which is like a very huge brand for any Scotch enthusiasts. They have like very high quality Scotch, like Scotch whiskey. What does it say? It says the Macallan Double Cask Gold reveals the unrivaled commitment to the mastery of wood and spirit for which the Macallan has been known since it was established in 1824. The perfect partnership of Oloroso sherry, seasoned American and European oak casks creates this burnished gold whiskey. Light citrus notes and boiled sweets rule the palate before giving way to cinnamon, ginger, and toasted apples. So, what does it mean? It's a double cask done with a balance of European and American casks. So, what does it mean? American casks, I think, are most likely to give off a more smoky aroma. European casks are known to be like a bit more soft. I think, like, have you seen? It's not my first drink of this one, but it is an affordable Macallan. So I don't want to offend any Scotch enthusiasts out there who would be like, I would have thought you were, if you review Scotch, maybe you could review a better one. I don't care. It's a cheaper Macallan, but it's still a Macallan Scotch, and I think it is pretty good. I'm not like I said, I'm not like a connoisseur like with fragrances, but yes, let's do this. Alright, so put a little, and then I always have this like a ritual when I drink Scotch. I put it raw in there and just sip. Just let it well enter my mouth so that I put it a bit everywhere, and then twirl. I also like. I am also the kind. I don't drink it with ice. I just drink it with a tiny bit of water to open it. It. I actually find that it like broadens the aroma, because it's less concentrated. I'm not sure how true it is, and then yeah, you shake it a bit so that it gets a feel of the glass. I always drink it in like a round shaped, because it's easier to shake, and it's just perfect. I think this is a cognac glass. I don't really care. Sometimes I just take a wine glass or whatever, but everything that is ball shaped, round shaped, will do the trick for me. And after a while, I'll just sip a bit more. Like you see, just like right there, the first sip that I took, it's to give like my mouth a taste of the raw material that it's gonna ingest afterwards. Um, but the first thing I notice when I put water in it, there is flowery notes that weren't there in the first place that kind of appear. Um, Flowery notes like I don't know, maybe white florals and I don't know. I'm not like it's kind of like not a fragrance, but still like there's flowers a bit that just pops in. Um, there is definitely that cinnamon taste that is like so good, and there's like it's woodsy. It's Scotch like whiskey and normally stuff that are like put into casks have a woodsy taste to it. Even wine, if you like think of it correctly, like it has an earthy, woodsy kind of vibe most of the time. And if it's like no sugar, like less sugar added in the wine, you kind of really taste that it's earthy and woodsy compared to it being very fruity. But it is still fruity. It's more like dry fruity, but it's not like um, as sweet and fruity as you might think if you only taste wine that is like that has a lot of sugar added to it. But let's get back to the Scotch. I really like I really like the Macallan Scotch because I have tasted like actually I have already tasted a more high hand um, Macallan, if I recall. Macallan, I don't even remember. But anyway, I have tasted no I have tasted a different kind of Macallans during the years. I used to go to whiskey bars where they had like a uh, huge selection, and I could taste like I could have a taster pack, and I don't know, it was like so good, and every scotch was so amazing. And I was always trying a Macallan because I'm a fan of James Bond, and James Bond drinks a Macallan scotch, so I was always like, I want to have that Macallan scotch. And I've tasted a lot of them, and they were all like the higher end Macallans are obviously a lot better than this one, but for the price this goes, I don't remember actually how much I bought it, but I know that I bought it first on discount, and second, it was already pretty cheap. Um, it's actually very good. It's a good Scotch, something that everyone can appreciate too. Sometimes it's fun to have a Scotch that some Scotch are like just like overkill. It's like you drink it and you're like, oh my god. And I really like that. I'm like, oh, I can taste like the cheese a bit, or it tastes a bit like the very like tobacco and whatever. I really like that. But some people like don't really like it. This one will be like more pleasant for everyone. Say you're like having a soiree, it's not like a party, it's just like you're having an evening with some friends, and you're like, hey, what about it, friends? I can bring my bottle of Macallan Gold, and we just have fun drinking some scotch. I think that it would be like an enjoyable night for everyone. Because normally it's like but Macallan, yeah, Macallan always does like those uh, well, most of the time do like scotch that like are pretty easy to drink, even for someone who doesn't really appreciate those super intense, super intense scotch like and whiskies. So the Macallan is like very flavory and yeah, and when I the more I talk and I don't drink, definitely I can definitely listen to my my taste buds, and they tell me that there's like that roasted, almost caramelized, yeah, mostly caramelized apple taste that occurs in that parkour. I said that it would be pretty controversial for me to take the Macallan Gold because a lot of people say that nowadays Macallan is like diminished in quality in order to be more mass appealing, and that the Macallan Gold was kind of one of those flagships of that new mass appealing marketing that they had, because they produce too much. They cannot produce as much quality and as much uniqueness as they would before. The Macallan Gold is supposed to replace, I think, a Macallan 12 years old, but it doesn't say also how much time it has aged. For me, it is not very important because I just taste what I get on my taste buds, and if it's good, it's good. Especially for that price, I really don't remember. It was maybe, I don't know, $60, whatever. It's not that pricey for a Scotch. Like really not. Single malt Scotch. It's pretty like it tastes pretty basic, but it still has that quality to it, that like elegant sophistication to it that makes it very enjoyable. And it is very flavory, which I really like also. But for some people who really like Scotch, or are like that are really into Scotch, this fact that they don't tell you how much time it has aged, it's kind of a turn off. You know, it's like you want to know, is it a 12? Is it an 18? You want to know that sort of things sometimes because it is an indicator of what type of flavors you're gonna find. Are they more mature flavors or less mature flavors in terms of the aging in the casks? Like the 12 years will probably be more bright, maybe. I don't know. You know, it's that kind of thing. I just don't know. I just make speculations, but yes, and it is very sweet. This one is very. It has that sweet aroma. It is almost rum-like, honestly. And I don't just say that because I smell a jazz club nearby. It kind of has that rum kind of feel, um, even though it's a Scotch. And it's very light. You know, it's like I once tasted a Scotch that was very like easy to drink, but like a bit too easy to drink. And it was in a Sauterne cask. It was like aged in a Sauterne cask, and it tasted a bit like, you know, Sauterne wine is like a white wine that is French white wine in a certain region that is very sweet and golden, and it's so delicious. It's incredible, but the Scotch was aged in a Sauterne cask. It was used for the wine, and there was this Sauterne quality that it wasn't syrupy sweet like the Sauterne is, but it had like that little reminiscence to it that was like, oh, but it just made it like so easy to drink. You were just like Mm. Oh, and it was amazing. But it kind of reminds me of that kind of sweet but not sweet feel, like that's not syrupy sweet, but still sweet and easy to drink, easy to sip. It's very good, and like it's like a good way also to take someone who doesn't know anything about Scotch, and it's like a beginner Scotch. It's like something that uh, someone like me would really appreciate. Even though I have tasted a lot of Scotch whiskies, and I'm aware that there is like Scotches out there like that are um, more representative of what I like than this. But they cost a lot more. So what's the use at some point? Uh, and this one is like actually something that I still enjoy. I am really an amateur, so it's just like whatever. I don't care if it's too sweet. I don't care if it's not enough flavor, like not enough bold, not enough unique. I'm just like looking for a good Scotch to like have these good vibes during the end of the day, and but I think it's also something that if I needed to show a friend, hey, I don't know, that person would be like, you really like Scotch. I don't know anything about Scotch. I would be like, oh well, let's try one, and I would like offer them this Macallan Gold Scotch, a taste of this Macallan Gold Scotch, and I think that a lot of people who don't like Scotch would actually really like that one because it's just like very very easy to drink, very like not too because a lot of people have like had bad experiences with whiskey, particularly Jack Daniel, and that makes them like resistant to try Scotch. But uh, we all had our bad days of drinking too much Jack Daniel, but this is not Jack Daniel. I mean, it's so easy to drink. It's more like a very strong, like, but very still very sweet and discreet Scotch. Yes, and you do know that the apple, like what we call Scotch, is actually Scotch whiskey. It's Scottish whiskey. It's like it's still a kind of whiskey. Some people like kind of forget that, um, and all kinds of whiskeys I really like, but I really like Scotch and I really like fine bourbons, but it's a completely different appeal for me. It's like two different beverages, but it's still both are whiskeys. You must remember, both are whiskeys, and the rye whiskeys, they're whiskeys too. The whiskeys from Canada, they're whiskeys too. It's like all of this is a broad category of whiskey, and there are excellent, very excellent whiskey that are made in Japan. I have tasted two or three whiskeys from Japan, I think, and they were all like amazing, but very subtle, like very like green tea, green apples. It was really, really, really interesting. Really good. So, bottom line, the Macallan Gold whiskey, like it's pretty good for the price. It's kind of a beginner Scotch. I don't think you're doing a bad thing if you're buying that as a beginner Scotch. Um, I still think that I would recommend maybe something else to start with, but nothing comes to my mind. But I think this is one of the best starters. You know, you just like it's easy to drink. Um, it's easy on the mouth. It can get you accustomed to like spotting the flavors because the flavors are pretty prominent and they're pretty clear and they tell you the flavors firsthand. So it's kind of oh yes, there is a kind of also I spot an orange blossom kind of flavor in that, and that's something that I really like. But this one is like it's delicate. It has like a flowery notes when you put ice or water in it, and it has like that cinnamon punch. It has that caramelized roasted apple, um, and it's very bright. It's a very bright Scotch, very delicate. So I mean, you cannot go wrong with that one. I think it's a perfect entry level Scotch. After that, you can go to the Lefroy. You can go to like you can just fly away and check out those, like the Lefroy is very like tobacco centric. It's very intense. But still entry level. Like there's some Lefroy that are still entry level, but they are very like tobacco centered and everything. And then you can go to like the Suntory whiskey from Japan. That is a very good whiskey with a green apple note. Um, you can go anywhere from there, but this is a good starter. Like for whiskeys in general, even like not just for Scotch, but for whiskeys, fine whiskeys in general. This one is a really good starter. All right, so continue spreading love, drink with moderation, and spray love. Bye bye.